Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Many of you guys know that any opportunity I get to talk some Nebraska football, I'm always taking that opportunity. Thursday afternoon, we have an extremely fascinating storyline coming out of this Nebraska program as former NAIA Player of the Year quarterback Jalyn Gramstad going to join this Nebraska quarterback room heading into 2024. And we talked about this extensively. Matt Rhule just turning over every single rock to find talent to make this Nebraska program better. This is the perfect example of how Matt Rhule wants to run this Nebraska program. There's so many good football players out there across the country, and Matt Rhule's going to go everywhere to try to make this Nebraska roster better. And Jalyn Gramstad 100% makes that happen heading into 2024. Not only does it provide just massive depth to this Nebraska quarterback room, where you kind of look at it prior to this commitment heading into 2024, you have three kind of playable quarterbacks, two of which are true freshmen. I think Matt Rhule made it clear that he wanted to add another quarterback, but that was kind of hard to do when you have two true freshmen that are as good as Rhule and Danny Kaelin. This one just made too much sense from what I was reading. He's a lifelong Nebraska fan as well. I am fired up about this story. Want to do a couple of different things. One, talk about what Jalyn Gramstad brings to this Nebraska offense. Got into the film this afternoon. There are some exciting reps that I want to show you guys in terms of what he brings to Nebraska. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Nebraska fans. Y'all know I love talking this program, and the amount of support you guys continue to show, all the Go Big Reds in the comments section, that stuff, it absolutely means the world. I say it all the time. I truly mean it. It is one of the best fan bases across the country. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Jalyn Gramstad. And before we get into the film, I kind of just want to talk about what he brings to this Nebraska offense. And I want to start with him being a winner at the quarterback spot. We talk a lot about this when we talk about quarterbacks from the high school level. When you are looking at a quarterback to your roster, one of the most important aspects that I think teams should be taking a look at is, are they winning football games at their previous schools? You look at Jalyn Gramstad, NAIA national champs in 2022, runners up in 2023. You start taking a look at the numbers. In 2023, he completed 67% of his passes for over 3,600 yards, 35 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions, also ran for over 720 yards. This is a true dual threat quarterback that you can get involved in a lot of different ways in this Nebraska offense. But I think most importantly, he just gives you that veteran presence in this Nebraska quarterback room that they certainly were lacking heading into 2024. And he gives you that depth. Again, it was hard to find a quarterback that wanted to join this Nebraska quarterback room because of the two true freshmen that Nebraska has on campus right now. I think this one kind of fell into their lap, and kind of how it happened was, from what I was reading, he goes to a Nebraska post-grad camp. Apparently the staff liked the way the ball was coming out of his hand. They kind of start getting into that relationship, and they end up making this happen kind of rather quickly. I think this all happened in the last 7 days, and want to get into the film a little bit in terms of what he brings to this Nebraska offense. And I think the first thing you got to start with is just being a playmaker. And this is a guy that at 6'1", 190, he's not necessarily the biggest frame, but he played safety at the high school level. I believe he played a little safety during the beginning of his collegiate career as well. And you see that kind of gamer, that just pure football player, it shows up on the film. I mean, this is a guy that wants to run the football. He's a phenomenal athlete, making people miss, taking on contact. These are the kind of football players that Matt Rhule wants to add to this Nebraska offense. You continue to work through the film, and you just see him be a playmaker at the quarterback position. He's a winner. I mean, there's a reason this team only lost one game last year, and that was in the championships. This kid just makes it happen. I mean, you look at that play again, it's a 3rd and 5, play gets blown up, just slippery, making it happen, getting to the second level, getting the first down. That is winning football that we want to see more from Nebraska as Matt Rhule takes over this program. And you start with just being a gamer, being a football player. You make no mistake about it. I mean, this is a kid that threw for over 3,600 yards in 2023. He's thrown for over 6,000 yards during his collegiate career. He can throw the rock. And I think some really, really impressive ways as well. I mean, extending plays, keeping his eyes downfield, and then on the run, throwing just a beautiful dot to the sideline where you kind of play this one again, keeping his eyes downfield. He's got to throw it over this coverage, kind of layer it in perfectly. And this is an accurate passer that can kind of access all areas of the football field. Now, does he have the arm talent that a guy like Dylan Rhule has? No, probably not. But what he does have that Dylan Rhule doesn't have is collegiate experience. And at the end of the day, you can talk about jumping up from the NAIA to the Big Ten level. That is certainly a massive jump, but we see guys all the time have a lot of success at lower level of college football and then jump up and just make it happen at the Power 5 level. Jared Verse at Florida State came from Albany. You see this plenty of times. I think Matt Rhule knows more than just about any head coach at the Power 5 level. There are good football players everywhere you look. And I think Jalyn Gramstad is just a damn good football player that's played a lot of football. He's a leader. He's a 3-time captain of Northwestern College over the last couple of years. This one makes a lot of sense. You start adding it all up and say he's a lifelong Nebraska fan that's kind of just been bleeding for this program his whole life. It's been his dream to play there. Now he gets that opportunity. He provides depth and experience to this Nebraska quarterback room. These are the type of stories that just as a college football fan myself, I personally absolutely love. If you needed any more reason to root for this Nebraska team, I think you got one in Jalyn Gramstad. Fired up about this one. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to y'all later.